Well, welcome everybody to AMD and also Hospitality Management's joint meeting tonight. Obviously, we're here to listen to Dr. Bob, but I had a few short announcements before we go. First of all, I wanted to mention to the AMD folks that we have a social event coming up on the 5th. That'll be at the Della Viti Wine Bar. And we also are looking forward to a couple of additional events this semester. We're going to be having a designer come talk to us, and we're going to be having a writing workshop as well. So stay tuned for more information on that. And also, we have elections coming up in April, and we encourage everyone at AMD to run for office. We need input and we need, participation in the group to keep it going. And if you have any questions about the officers, I'm happy to talk about it. With that, turn it over to Dr. Bob. And I don't think he needs an introduction.
Good afternoon, everybody. Glad to be here with you. How are you doing today? Good. All right. Excellent. So I was asked to talk about life as a faculty member, what's it like to be a new faculty member, and then in particular, what I talk about when I'm interviewing people. So in other words, when I'm interviewing candidates who want to come and join us here, what's that conversation like? What are the things you ought to think about when you get to that point? I know we have people here that are actually, I think at least two that have either gone through it or are in it right now. Gina's really done at this point. Jay Wook is near in the process. So, right? Anybody else in the process of interviewing right now? Okay. So mostly the rest are newer or not yet ready for that level. Okay. That's fine. One of the very first things to think about. You're a graduate student at a major research institution. Iowa State University is a land-grant institution recognized as one of the top schools in the United States. The AMD program generally considered to be top 5. Hospitality, top 10. That's not bad. Think about that. So you're coming out of a place, number one, where the university has a great reputation as a high-level research institution, and you're coming out of a program that is perceived by its peers to be among the very, very best that there is. So that's an important point to remember. Okay. So in theory, you have a leg up on students coming out of another program. Because not all programs are top-rated programs. So you use that to your advantage. So that you're able to say, I was successful at this major program. I worked with so-and-so. And, for example, AMD. You have several faculty who are recognized nationally, internationally, as leaders in the field. So, for example, maybe Dr. Neem, okay? Or Dr. Fury, or Dr. Sanders, Dr. Popova, Dr. Marchetti. Those are people who are recognized all over the place. So you have a link to them in some way. Again, advantage you. Because they're known, other people are aware of their work, other people are where they are, and by association, then you're considered part of that. Okay? Hospitality, obviously, we have people like Dr. Arndt, okay? Dr. Z, Dr. Schreier, Dr. Brown, all beginning have very good reputations throughout the country. Okay? So important to remember that. And in particular, if you've done work with any of these faculty, published an article with your faculty, or you have a conference presentation, play that up. Right? You want to make sure that you are associating yourself with excellence.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Now, second point.
Because
It
it
is
is
a
a grant school, a high-level institution. My guess is that most of you
are
are probably looking for positions at
similar
similar
institutions.
institutions.
So
So in other words, you're looking at schools that have strong research-oriented programs.
It doesn't mean you're going to spend all your time on research,
on research,
but it
but it
means that research is an important component of that
program,
and
they would want to hire someone like you because you're coming out of a program
that is heavily oriented towards research.
The
The
other
other
advantage you have is if that's not your direction, you'd rather go to a school that leans more towards teaching. They still want you to write, but not as much. And for example, maybe they're not expecting you to write grant proposals.
or the
Or the
number of articles they're expecting you to produce a year is minor.
minor.
But
You're still prepared for that because you came out of a program
that's a
that's a
high-level
high-level
program.
program.
It's
It's always easy to go from a high-level program
to programs that aren't quite at that level. It's more difficult in school. That's a lower level, higher level, because you have to prove you can do that level of work. Okay?
Okay?
So
Coming
coming
out of here, you have a lot of advantages, so make sure that you are aware of that.
Okay? The reason
The
I'm
reason I'm
starting
starting you off that way is that you really should be looking out.
where do you
Where
see
do
yourself go?
yourself going?
And you
And
should
you
begin
begin
to start to identify
schools that are interested in you.
And
And I would tell you that you ought to
begin
begin to do that in the second year.
You know,
Your first year, you're still going to get
the stuff. You don't really know that.
really know that much.
Okay,
Okay,
you may know where
you know, you made professor went to school, okay, you know that.
you really don't know.
a whole lot.
Okay.
Okay? Second year, maybe you've been to a conference by that point.
You've
You
started
started to meet some people from other schools, you started to be aware of other faculty,
what
what
they're doing. Ah, okay.
Okay,
Now you're starting to develop a list.
starting to develop a list.
Schools
These are
that,
schools that, hey, if I had the opportunity, I'd like to see myself there.
Start to
Start
ask
to ask
questions
questions
of the folks that are at
at
those.
those schools.
So if you know graduate
graduate
students,
students,
you know about ITA or
you need CREE or
the
graduate
graduate conference,
conference,
you
you
start
to talk to them.
and
You start to ask them what it's like at that school.
And what you're going to pick up on is some subtleties. You're
You're
going
going
to
to
pick up on
little things, okay?
like what's it like?
there?
You know, what's the average day like? And you'd be surprised.
You get people talking,
They
they
could
could
tell
tell you a whole lot about the place.
And you may learn good things, and you may learn,
Oh, okay.
maybe not so good things. But better to
Better
learn that ahead of time, right? Okay. Then you start to do more investigation, you know, check out the faculty. What kind of work are they doing? Are these people that you would want to see as your colleagues? Do you see yourself working with those folks? You know, we like to think in our field, and I'll share that from hospitality, we like to think that everybody who is in hospitality is really nice. Because when people think about hospitality, they think, oh, you're nice to everybody, right? I will share with you that not all faculty are nice. Sometimes you will learn that. Okay? It's important to learn that ahead of time, particularly if you can touch you. Okay? Now, I can't talk about apparel because I don't know enough about apparel to say it's this or it's that. But what I'm telling you is try to become educated about as many of the schools you are interested in while you are here as a graduate student, so that you are prepared for when that day comes. It's your final year, and now, in addition to finishing your dissertation, it's like, oh, I have to get a job. Wow. And so you got to start to apply. Okay? And hopefully there will be an opening in the school or one of the schools you really want to go to. Now, one of the things to keep in mind, certainly over the next 10 years, there's going to be plenty of openings, right? Because a lot of people are gray hair,
intentionally, and they're going to be moving on. So there's going to be a lot of opportunities in programming. But guess what? Look around the room. There's more of you than there has been. So competition has increased. So start to think about what you bring to the table. And that's why knowing the kind of school that you want to work at, and knowing the attributes of those schools, you can begin to craft your vita appropriately. And quite obviously, you're here at Iowa State. What do we expect you to be spending your time on? Yes, you're completing different courses in your respective program. But what do we really want to do while you're here? Work with faculty, produce conference presentations and papers, and produce journal articles. And for some of you, grant proposals. Those are the three things that you want to try to have on your resume, on your vita, because that's going to really be front and center. Some of you will have an opportunity to be a teaching assistant, maybe even teach a class by yourself. That becomes very important to put on that. And certainly, your related work experiences or other experiences you have that will distinguish you from the other people who are applying for the same position. Remember, when you send your resume, okay? When you send that CV, that doesn't guarantee you anything. All the CV is doing is trying to convince a search committee. Should we talk to this person? That's what you're trying to do with the CV. And again, coming from a really good school and having linkages to well-known faculty is certainly going to help you. All right, so let's make an assumption that we've got great CVs and we sent that CV out, and guess what? You get the call. They want to talk to you. They want you to come to campus. Good for you. Excellent. Getting an interview is a big deal. Okay? Now, in addition to making sure you make a good presentation, so everybody ought to have, a good suit or two suits, and, make sure you're groomed well, you got your hair fixed up, and your shoes are shined, and things like that, okay? You want to make a good appearance, right? But it's more important when you're on an interview to convince them that you are the person they want to hire. Because clearly they're interviewing other people. You always have to remember that. They're going to be interviewing other people. You just don't know how many. Now, you could ask. And you should ask. And I'll give you an idea of when and how to do that as we move this along. Okay? All right, so they've read the CV. They know who you are on people. Okay? Now they're meeting you in person. And maybe they already have met you in person. ITAA, or CSA, Costume Society of America, or some other conferences in apparel, or CREE, or the graduate conference. So they have an idea. They sort of remember who you are. Okay? All right, so now you went for that interview. All right, so what goes on in an interview? Well, they're trying to see, are you the right person for them? And quite frankly, it's just as important that you determine, are they right for you? I often tell people, it's kind of like dating. You're on a first date, you got to hug and kiss or do shake hands, And there's a big difference, right? That's the whole idea. That's what I'm trying to get you to think about, okay? So there'll be a group of people you're going to meet. You're going to spend a lot of time with the search committee, and it may be that you spend a lot of time with one person on the search committee. That's very common, that one person sort of handles the details of the interview, okay? They're going to work with you to get you there by air or car, and where it's located. Going to put you in a hotel. And then they're going to give you a schedule that's going to run you ragged for about a day and a half. And you just have to be ready for that. You have to be ready for the fact that they are going to run you from person to person or group to group every half hour. Okay? And you're going to have to learn, smile, be very, very personable, and be very, very genuine. Okay? So in other words, be yourself. When you talk with individuals who are part of the interview process, sometimes they're going to ask you different things. So faculty that aren't part of the search committee, but are on the faculty, what are they going to be asking you? They're going to ask you questions about your research. Or maybe there's a connection, they know somebody that, maybe they know your major professor. Or they knew somebody at the school where you did your master's degree. Okay? Often people try to find a common element that they can talk with you about. One little hint, if you can, try to learn as much about the faculty at the school you're going to interview at. Now, you can't be an expert in all their areas, but at least try to look at if they've got stuff on their web. Try to see who's their HR person, who's their finance, who's their food and beverage person, who's their creative design person, who's their pattern making, who's their sourcing person or whatever. What area we're talking about. But you try to do that so that you have something that you talk about. And it shows that you are and it also shows you took the time to learn that about them. I think a lot of students are very much unaware for interviews. When they I will tell you that interviews for quite a long time, and I've seen very good interviews, and I've seen some absolute disasters. And of course, those are very uncomfortable to matter. It's a pleasure when you have you're basically ready to hire the person on the spot. You can't do that. All right, so you're in the interview process. You're starting to talk to different people. Search committee is going to throw a lot of questions at you. Search committee is going to want to know why are you interested in this job? You better have an answer. I mean, that's a very important thing to think about. Why do you want this job? Quite frankly, the way to approach that is obviously say, I've admired this program for years. I believe the faculty, the students of this program, always present at the conferences, and I enjoy listening to their research, and I really want to be a part of a team that's productive like that. You don't want to go, job opportunity was out there. I thought I'd throw my name in. It's not going to go over that well. Okay. So again, preparation is very important here. Chances are you're going to talk with at least one administrator. Here, we have to talk with Dean White. Okay. There'll be a new dean next year, but we've included the dean in any faculty search that we have. Why? She's our boss. And quite frankly, we have a great relationship with her. I have a great relationship with her. And one of the things I've always done is I have kept her in constant communication of things we're doing. I want her to know what we're doing. I want her to know who we are. I mean, it's great if the dean is from the same discipline as you. But often the dean is from a different discipline. You have to, quote unquote, educate the dean as to what you do. And it's very often in both hospitality and apparel, because those tend not to be programs where the dean is often from that area. Rare. So when they go to talk to the dean, she's always asking, tell me about your research. And if they've got some teaching, she always likes to ask them about their teaching. Because she's trying to figure out, does this person have what it takes to be here? Joining a high-level university is a big deal. There's a lot of work.
If you meet with other administrators, depending on what level those folks are, the conversation will likely be around what their area is. So, for example, here, we also have to meet with the Associate Dean for Research, that's Dr. Peterson. And of course, what she talks about is grant writing, and she talks about the different funding programs we have that are internal to the university. Now, I just brought something up. Let me throw this out for you. So here at Iowa State has done a very good job. I will say this over certainly my time here of investing in programs that are designed to help develop faculty. Now, what I mean by that is they have invested very heavily in mentoring type programs at both the teaching area and the research area. So in other words, programs have been created to provide support for faculty. And the reason is we know that today, no one operates as a solo artist. You can't do it. You can certainly write an article here and there by yourself, fine. But more often than not, you are collaborating with others, and that could be other faculty, and it could also be you're collaborating with graduate students. Now, all of you are graduate students. Wonderful, terrific. You're all working with faculty. Every faculty member is different, as you know. So some of you may talk to others, and you may go, well, this is how I'm treated, and this is what I'm going through, and others will say, well, gee, this is what I'm, and you're like, oh, okay. All of you are going to be on the other side of that issue soon enough. You're all going to be faculty. And I would always say to you, to me, it's always been very simple. I always want to be treated how I will treat other people. And that's kind of how it works. Okay? Again, I'm sharing with you, do I think all faculty do that? The answer is no. as many of you know, okay? But hopefully you would recognize that, okay? So if it is a school where there are graduate students, you might want to be asking about what do I get to do with graduate? Am I going to get a graduate assistant of my own? And I hope that you would. Some other things that people are going to be looking for when talking with you in this process, they're going to take you out to dinner. Obviously feeding you is constant. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, there's probably snacks, things. You're going to be full, go on a diet afterwards, okay? But you're going to be eating with different groups of people. Again, what are you trying to do? Trying to figure out whether they like you. Could they see having you in that program? And you should be doing the same thing. Do I like these people? And again, you got to remember that. If indeed it goes all the way, you're signing a contract for at least 4 to 7 years, depending on how things work. Okay? So you need to like these people because you're going to be living with them every single day. And if you like people, as you know, then you enjoy being with them. If you don't like people, that's going to make for some long days. Okay? So just bear that in mind. You should also try to find out ahead of time as much as you can about the university itself, this particular institution you're looking at. Some universities are very transparent. You can pick up an awful lot on their website. You might also, I know many of you are very interested, hey, what are the benefits that they have? Some of them, you can find out salaries ahead of time. Particularly if it's a public school, chances are the salaries are publicly available somewhere. You might be able to find out ahead of time what people are making. That could be an advantage for you going in. Okay. So let's move to now you're sitting down. Very end of your interview is with who's going to hire you. And of course here that is me. Now, yes, I get approval from the. I am the one who does the hiring. I am the one who does the hiring. So I have hired. I have almost everybody that's now in this department. There's only a handful of folks I have not hired. By the time I'm done, there'll probably be about 85 people that work here. I will have hired. My influence lasts for a very, very long time. I had to rebuild this. What I had to do. Which was an opportunity. So we're sitting down. And I say, hey, how are you? Has the day been okay? Are you doing all right? You need a glass of water or something? Okay, and then we start chatting. I usually start by asking them, do you feel the same way right now that you did when we invited you? And usually, of course, they're going to say, even more so. You know, you want to see that enthusiasm, okay? So then what we do is we talk about, what I talk about in particular, I will always start, and I repeat myself. I go to breakfast with people, and then I find them, okay? And I tell them at breakfast, very, very general terms, what the tenure promotion process is like, okay? I will immediately start with that when we're at the very end. What I will talk about is, okay, if we were to offer, okay, you're going to come in as an assistant professor. Very rarely is a graduate student have years of experience, and we're going to give you a year of service and that sort of thing. That's very rare, okay? It's possible if somebody is leaving a job somewhere else, they've been an assistant professor for a couple of years, and they've got a good record, and they come here, we would probably give them 1 year of service. So all that does is shorten the tenure line by 1 year. Okay? So normally tenure is in your 7th year is when it's awarded. It's a 6-year process. Okay? So when you first get hired, here, I give you a contract for 4 years. All right? That's your first contract. What does that mean? You're hired as an assistant professor. Almost always you're starting in August. Every year you are reviewed, annual review. I am doing annual reviews on everybody right now. Okay? So I got roughly 42, 43, whatever people, and I do an annual review every single year. I'm looking over all their stuff. Okay? So every year they have a formal assessment of where they are, and I let them know you're doing good or you need to pick up the pace a little bit. Okay? And you're being appraised, teaching, research, and service. The 3 pieces of what our contract is. All right? And while there are similarities in terms of what a teaching load is, everybody is different. Okay? And just to give you an idea, normal teaching load here, 2 classes a semester. So we call that a 2 and 2, or 2 plus 2. Research, we do not dictate. You must produce so many articles. We don't do that. What we say is this. We expect you to have a minimum of 2 outputs a year. Could be 2 articles. Could be 2 conference presentations. Could be 2 grant proposals. Could be 2 designs at an exhibit or somebody apparel. So what we consider scholarly, we try to broaden that, help people out. Now notice I said a minimum of 2. I said a minimum average of this faculty over the last 5 years. 9 outputs a year per person. Gives you an idea of the level of people we have here. Now that doesn't mean it's 9 articles. Although I will tell you, there are certain faculty that are producing 9 journal articles a year. Yeah, there's superstars, and you can probably know who they are. Okay, they're very, very talented people. But we also have a graduate program, so the opportunity to work with graduate students and produce conference presentations and papers is significant. So getting 9 is actually not that big of a deal.
I know I say that like that, but really, come on. If you're managing your graduate students correctly, you should be getting quite a bit out of it. Did you have a question? Very good. Good question. The question is, does the faculty member have to be first author? For example, on a green proposal, do they have to be the principal investigator? That would be the first person. No. In fact, collaborative work is encouraged. Now, certainly work with grad students, sometimes you will be the first author, depending on what subject it is. Right? But if it's the faculty member's idea, chances are you're not the author. That's okay. You know, in the early phases of your career, quite frankly, quantity is very important. Okay? Quality becomes important once you have that first formal job, right? So you're an assistant professor, and then where you publish is certainly important. What conferences you present at is very, very important. Again, do not tell you where to publish. What I say is, I expect that you, as a faculty member here, are getting your work published in the very best journals. And it's being presented at the very best conferences. The other unique part about here is the grant writing. Because we are a land grant institution, writing a grant is expected. Now, does that mean you are successful? No. Grant writing is hard, and getting funding is even harder. And most of our fields do not have available money. We are not like the sciences, okay, where the money's just dripping off trees. All right? We are in areas where money is very hard to come by. Now, I will share with you, in hospitality, we have built a track record in food safety. So if somebody is food and beverage oriented and likes to look at food safety, that is a very good area, and there is a steady stream of research funding in that area. Okay? In apparel, there really isn't any one area where there's a steady stream of money. It really is very dependent on what the interests are at the time. Recently, there seems to have been some focus on protective clothing of different types. The PA has certainly gotten involved, and there's other areas. And we're very happy to hear that are interested. Most of the subject matter is not what we call readily fundable. Therefore, I strongly urge my faculty to take full advantage of the internal money that is available from the college and the university. Because getting funding from anywhere doesn't matter if it's internal. Get the funding. And then you do your study. And then use the results from that study to build your case a bigger study. That's how it works. Okay. So again, you're going to be evaluated every year. I'm going to look at your teaching. I would advise everybody where you end up going, I would advise you do not rely solely on evaluations. That's popularity. I say it like that, but it is. Okay. Very rarely is an undergraduate student capable of evaluating in a professional manner. Okay? You want to have a peer evaluation. And you'll have colleagues that will be willing to do that for you, or you may have, like we have here on campus, a Center for Excellence in Learning and Teaching, and they will be happy to assist you. You should take advantage of that. Okay? Now, I will share with you. You come out of a major school like Iowa State, it's expected that you know how to teach. And I know many of you have not had the full opportunity of teaching a class. So when you walk across the stage and you shake hands and place hands after they've put you, it's like the magic good. Boom. Instantly. Well, you're a doctor. You know how to teach. You know how to do research. There it is.
Now, I'm saying that in a sarcastic way to show you that you have to be prepared. Because there is an expectation when you're going on an interview. You know, if you say, hey, I taught X class, well, okay, you want to be able to demonstrate that. If you've only been a grad assistant, that's okay. But be able to demonstrate your ability to do things. So try to provide them with evidence of what you've done for that class. Maybe you help that faculty member come up with lesson plans, or maybe you help that faculty member come up with material to use in that class, or maybe you were the one who designed the grading. Make sure you do that. Make sure you have that information and share that information. Okay? Service, I mentioned, is the third leg, if you will, of the stool. What does service mean? It means you're a good citizen. It means that you help out in the department. If you're asked to do something to the college or the university. Yeah. Now, some schools are going to probably tell you, we're going to minimize your service for the first couple of years. I do that here. Every new faculty member I hire has only one service responsibility in the first year. They have to go to graduation. So one day in the fall, one day in the spring for a couple hours. That's their service assignment. Now, sure, they're expected to attend faculty meetings, and if they're asked to be on other service things, it's up to them. But I don't personally give them any additional assignment other than that. After the first year, you can start to do a little bit more, and you should start to do a little more. But be careful and be cautious in accepting service responsibilities, because if you are hired as an assistant professor, what is your goal? To get tenured and promoted to associate professor. Okay? Then we will really load you up with service. And then when you go to be full professor, your whole life becomes service. Okay? It's kind of how it works. All right? Okay, so you are evaluated every year. In your third year here, you have what's called a mid-tenure review. Mid-tenure review is a thorough analysis of your record of everything you've done since we hired you. You are reviewed by the Promotion and Tenure Committee. They write a report on you. That report comes to me. I then look over your record, and obviously I know your record at this point. I've been following you since day one. And I write a report that goes to the dean. The dean looks at what we say, and it's either, hey, keep up the great work, good job, but you need to do more, or, well, this isn't really working out. Now remember, I started by telling you initially you got a 4-year contract. Mid-tenure reviews in your third year. If you have a good mid-tenure review, we then write you a new contract that takes you through your tenure and promotion, your 7. If you have an unsuccessful mid-tenure review, we give you an additional year to stay here if you want. But we're also giving you a hint. Find another place to work. So then years 4, 5, you get your annual review, and then in the early part of year 6, you submit all your materials for your tenure and promotion case, and you now have your file reviewed by external reviewers, people who are experts in the field, and those letters are actually very important to the provost. Provost takes particular interest in external letters. So it'll be a similar process to the mid-tenure review with a couple of little tweaks. Promotion and Tenure Committee looks at you, and then all of the tenured faculty vote on you. Then that comes to me. I write my letter. That letter goes to the dean. The dean reviews things. There's a college promotion and tenure committee. They review things. And then finally it goes to the provost. And then to the Board of Regents. So it's a long process. It's about 6 months for the entire process to go through. So for example, this year we have 2 people going up for promotion to full professor. they will hear likely probably right after spring break. That's when they will hear whether they've been successful or not. And I will share with you, since I came here in July of 2007, we are batting 1,000%. We have never had anybody rejected for either tenure or promotion. So I'm very pleased about that. But again, why do you think that is? We've hired very good people coming in. We've mentored them very well, and we've monitored them. So there's no surprises. Everybody knows where they stand. It would be a rare person on this faculty that would tell you, I have no idea how I'm doing here. They know how they're doing. Because I will tell them both formally and informally. I don't hesitate to do that. Okay? All right, so you're sitting there, you're in the chair, they told you what the tenure promotion process is, and that would be a very important question on your mind. How do I get to tenure and promotion? Okay? All right, so hopefully you took care of that. Let's start talking about the things that you might want to have to help you to get to where you want to be. So you should think in terms of the resources that you will need to be successful. So we mentioned graduate student earlier. You should ask for a full-time graduate assistant. Here, that would be a 20-hour-a-week graduate assistant for 3 years, your first 3 years. Now, you can, and I tell the person, you can use that graduate student any way you want. They can't do your laundry. They can't be mowing your lawn, all right? No, I don't mean that. But what I mean is you want to have them do teaching for you, fine, go for it. If you want them to be over on research, absolutely do it. It's up to the faculty member to know what to do. So again, what I'm sharing with all of you, you're going through experiences right now. Learn how you are being handled. Learn how other students are being handled. Pick up best practices of how to work with a graduate student while you're a graduate student. So that when you become a faculty member, you know how to manage. It's very important. You're the captain of the team. You know, right now you're just a player, right? You're going to be the captain of the team. Know what that means. Okay? Be able to use it. Maybe you're going to ask for summer salary because your contract is a 9-month contract. You know, a lot of people think I'm on a 12-month contract because I'm an administrator, right? My job is 24/7, 365. Very, very simple job description. Okay? Faculty are not like that. They have a 9-month contract, meaning mid-August to mid-May. And some of them, if I try to get them to do something in the summer, good luck. And you'll have some faculty tell you, I'm not going to, you know, you say, I'm going to turn something in July. I'm not going to look at it until August. And you'll have faculty that'll do that. And they're within their right. That's fine. Right? So, but you are a new young assistant professor. I have no idea what that is. So, you want to ask for a month of summer salary. Ideally, ask them for the first 2 years. That way, if they say, I can only afford one, well, you got one. Because what happens is, guess what? You're not going to be paid from mid-May to mid-August. You're not paid unless you negotiate that you want your pay to be spread out over 12 months. Okay? So you want to get additional money, and you're just starting out, so it's going to take you a while to get your ideas up and running, to submit some proposals, or, you know, whatever it might be. And you want them to help you. Okay? Maybe you're going to ask for a course reduction in teaching. And maybe that's one course somewhere in the first couple of years. Some schools are probably very good. They may say, sure, we'll give you that the whole first year, just one class. Take advantage of that. Why do you ask for that? To give you more time to work on your scholarship course. You're all going to be working on your dissertation, all right? The ideal situation is you finish that dissertation, and before you start that job in August, you've got at least one manuscript ready to go to submit, and then sometime in that first year, you get a second manuscript out of your dissertation and get that along. And then what you do is you're negotiating for the summer pay or the course reduction because you need that time to continue the work that you're doing, and you even show them, I have an idea for my next study. Another component of something that you ask for, how about professional development? You know, you want to buy some software, or you want to buy, you know, something, a book or something, okay? Or you want to continue to be a member of ITAA or CREA. Now, it's not that much to be a member, right? A couple $100. But if they're willing to do it for you, that's less for you, okay? I will tell you, here I have a standard practice. I give $1,000 for the first 3 years. So $1,000. Now notice how I framed everything. Everything's in the first couple of years, in the first 3 years, right? Why? Get them to the mid-tenure review. And it's kind of like coming in and they're a baby. They don't know what to do. They're all arms and legs. By the time they're in the third year, guess what? You're on your own. Absolutely. You want to know what you're doing. You want to know what you're doing. Okay? Maybe you're going to ask for some money for seed grant. You have an idea study. You need to buy a data package or a data set, or you need to do, whatever. That's fine. What kind of computer do they use there? What kind of computer do you need? You ought to know that. How much memory is there to have? Do you need to have it loaded with particular software? If you don't ask, you get what they're going to give you. So you have to ask. How about going to conferences? Now that may be in professional development. Some people will separate it out. And chances are, first couple of years, you want to go to ITAA, or you want to go to Costume Society, or you want to go to the grad conference, or whatever. Okay? You have to ask for that stuff. How about moving expenses? Not everybody does it. Here there's a limit. The limit is set by the university, actually by the state. For certainly somebody who's fresh out of a doctorate program, I can't imagine you have a lot of stuff to move. But somebody like me who moved with an entire house, it actually cost me money. But that's okay. That was all right. But for younger people, it's not a big deal. It covers everything you got. If you don't ask, then don't cry when you don't get it. So when you're sitting there, you have to think about this. You have to think, what are the things I need? What do I need to be successful? Ask for that. All they can do is say no. Or they're likely going to say, well, I can't do that right now, but. And you get them to think about it, and you get them to say, maybe I can give you that in another year or so. And hopefully you can get that in writing, whether it's email or whatever, okay? Once you've done all that, the very, very last thing, and here's how I do it. I say, if you were to be the person that we're really interested in, What sort of salary range are you interested in? Now, if the person has done their homework, they have an idea, and they give me a very legitimate figure. If they sit there and say, oh, I don't know, what do you think is fair? And believe me, that has happened, then the ball is totally in my court, right? I can name the figure. And of course, am I going to name my figure, or am I going to name the figure I know I'm going to save myself a couple grand here and there? Well, yeah, obviously. Okay? So that's why it really is important for you to research as much as you can, to learn as much as you can about that school, and if indeed salaries are publicly available, figure that out. And then you go in a much more educated individual, and quite frankly, your interview process will be shorter because you're more knowledgeable. Question?
So, okay, so you're, the figures are available here at Iowa State.
Yes, they are.
Would everybody have
Okay.
with me? But then do I have to factor in what this person's been here?
Sure.
Person's
Of course.
and-
But if you know who the assistant professors are, that's what you're looking for.
Okay.
Okay?
And so kind of key, because in an interview, you don't want to say too high.
Well, of course, you don't want to come in what Dr. Sanders is getting. You want to ask for more like what Dr. Kinney is getting. Okay?
Exactly, but at the same time, like I said, if I say, hey, I'll do it for 50, we know they're all.
Bingo! I'll say the paper right now.
So, isn't that a really, really difficult?
It can be. It can be. This is why it's important. You need to nose around, you need to dig in, you need to figure, is this information available? You can make some phone calls, talk to people. Maybe when you're at conferences, ask questions. Ask people from other schools, what are salaries like? You know, in hospitality, what we know is this. Hospitality programs are housed either in, like where we are, human sciences, or they are a standalone institution, okay? Or they are in colleges of business. Highest paid are colleges of business, by far, okay? Second are the standalone schools. We're really at the lower level. And quite frankly, I'm fortunate. I've got faculty here who I'm working and living, you know what, out of, and they can make a lot more money in other places. Absolutely. Not a single person here couldn't do that. But I also treat them very, very well. I try to give them as much as I can. I like to call it, I give cookies. So I pay their memberships. They need a piece of software. I'll try to get that for them. I get them to conferences. I'm doing a lot of little things. Plus, it's a good place to work. I don't think I'm a tyrant or anything. I mean, I may work with them hard, and I may demand things from them. But it's a high-level institution. That's my job. Okay? I think what both the folks in hospitality and Alley Vet and the folks in apparel, I think what they quickly realize is this is a pretty good place to be compared to other schools. That other schools may pay you more, but you have to live there, and you have to work with those folks. That might be something to think about.
What do you do if you're aiming at a private university that has, no published scholars?
Okay, this is a good question. So, the aim is not a public institution and not a research institution, but an institution that specializes or focuses on teaching. Clearly, you want to emphasize how good in the classroom or the lab that you are and all the experiences that you've had to be able to do that. And complementing that, hey, I do have an interest in scholarship, and I likely will be, trying to, produce something every year. And it could be that you're doing a scholarship of teaching and learning. That would be extremely appropriate for someone that is trying to go that direction. And you've got several faculty, particularly in apparel, who have done a very nice job incorporating that line of research.
That's excellent. The other thing I was kind of asking was, what to do about
Okay. There are certainly some private schools that pay more than public. The majority of private schools, however, do not pay more. But do they have other benefits that might be worth looking into? So, for example, are they willing to give you a housing allowance? Or do they even have faculty housing where you can live for a year or two while you save a few bucks before you get your own place? And there are a number of private schools. That's a big deal for them to do that a lot. Or some of you may have children. Do they have a child care place? Help you with. One of the things I didn't mention is household accommodation. You have partners. Nowadays, when you go to a school, they're probably not going to bring it up, but you may want at the very end mention that you have a partner, particularly if the partner is an academic, because then they may be able to make something happen for that. If the partner is not an academic, there's probably not going to be a lot of assistance. And most universities today are very partner friendly. Very family friendly. Again, try to learn as much as you can. Most places, the benefits are going to be very out in the open. I want you to know and see what the benefits are. Good questions.
Another question too is all of these things we've talked about are and you're saying that so these are things that we're not to bring up.
Absolutely.
How do we approach without sounding demanding, or is this a normal conversation that we would have wherever we?
Okay. So the question is, with respect to all of these factors that we've been talking about, how do you bring it up in a way that is not offensive? Okay. Obviously, if the individual who's my counterpart is basically doing what I do, then that's an easy call. You just work your way in with that conversation. When something, you talk about it. That leads to something else. I mean, that's an easy flowing conversation. And quite frankly, most graduate students do not negotiate. They sit there, take it, and they don't say a word. So what I'm trying to tell you is, if you're informed and you know stuff, then you can negotiate. Now, yes, is there a fine line when you're negotiating? You want to be their friend. It's a win-win situation. It's not, I have to win. Okay? And certainly it shouldn't be that way for them either. Okay? So you can pick up on the nuances when you talk to how they are. I would say I respect someone who is knowledgeable and will come at me with something. And if I don't agree, I'm going to say I don't agree. But then what am I trying to do? I'm going to work it so that we're always going to work it. Try to get it to where we can at least agree in principle. That's negotiating. Okay? Yeah. You certainly do not want to come across, very smug, I'm coming from Iowa State, we're such a good school. That's not going to cut it. We've had people here who have come from certain schools and they think they're pretty darn good. They're special. Yes. Okay. This is a very good question indeed. International students or an international applicant presents a slightly different wrinkle. Okay. And the challenge is the United States has become a much more challenging place, not as friendly, I guess, as we used to be in years and years ago. I have made the commitment that I'm fully aware that there will be international applicants, and it's a high probability that at least a hire one time or another is going to be an international hire. Therefore, I support them in their visa process. So I have done that for every single faculty member here who is not from the U.S. I have provided full support of that visa process. So yes, it has cost me several $1,000s to do that. But when I talk about that with them in the hiring process, how do you think that makes that person feel? Makes them feel pretty good. Makes them feel that, wow, they understand me, they want to help me, they're going to be a better performer as a result of that. And I think that we've seen that result. For some of them, it's a tougher road than others. I mean, obviously, China, the queue is so long for China, right? I mean, it's unbelievable. I think the easiest one that got through was Dr. Baytar in apparel, because Turkey, while Turkey's a pop nation, there's not that many faculty seeking, the visa here. So that one went through pretty quick. Going to depend on the country, but I continue to do that. I mean, we have a new hire here in hospitality from China, and she's here in the States, obviously, but her home is China, and I've already said, hey, we're going to handle that, no problem. Oh, no question. I mean, again, that would be, for those of you who are international, I would think that would have to be a conversation item, okay? And I would probably, I would be remiss if I was to say to you, oh, don't worry, every school is going to take good care of you. I don't think that's an accurate statement on my part. Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Do we have a mentoring program for the faculty member when they come in, and how the program works, and how important it is to find the right mentor for you when you're attracting leaders here?
Yeah, excellent question. Now, mentoring for new faculty. We do indeed have a formal mentoring program for new faculty. Every new faculty member gets a research mentor, and they get a teaching mentor. Now, it can be the same person, not common. And one of the advantages about being in this department is it's possible that one of the mentors is actually from a different area. So somebody in hospitality could have somebody from apparel as a mentor. Nothing wrong with that. Obviously, to be a mentor, we're going to pick senior people. It's not going to be new people, senior people. And their role is to guide. To guide. Again, new faculty member is like a baby. Doesn't know anything. Right? Like a sponge. Soak it all up. Then you're going to learn how to crawl. You're going to learn how to walk. Then you're going to learn how to run. Okay? The mentor is there to guide you, be a sounding board, somebody you can talk to, somebody that maybe can give you some advice, show you the ropes, get you used to the culture that we have here, both within the department, the program, the university. Yeah. That would be, again, I think that mentoring is becoming a lot more common. So I think that it's I don't think it's nearly universal here in the States, but it's certainly in a lot of the programs that I'm aware of now. So, but that, that's something to ask about. Now, you asked the question, who's the best, or, how do you, quite frankly, that's trial and error. I'd like to think here that everybody gets along pretty well, and I only can remember one situation where we had a switch mentor because it just wasn't working out. Most of the time, it's always worked out, and I think it has a lot to do with who we are here, the kind of people we are here. Certainly, a lot of people would say, well, it ought to be somebody who kind of knows what you're doing. I don't know that I agree with that or not. I think it's very important that a mentor be someone who really knows the culture of the institution and has a lot of knowledge of the institution and can share with you a lot of the do's and don'ts to save you from stumbling and stubbing your toe in the first couple of years. I think that's actually more important because you're a professional. You already know how to do your research. And you already know how to teach, although some people will need a little bit of help with the teaching. And if that's the case, try to pick the very best person teaching. Pick the person who got teaching work. Have them show you what they're doing. Or somebody who's really well known for all the work they do with black. Well, hey, that might be something to pick up on. And again, we have a variety of folks here. We have some really good teachers in all. We have really good teachers, and we have some really good researchers. So we have quite a good balance in the program. So. All questions have been good. Don't hesitate.
When someone does get a job offer here, is it okay for us to approach you and ask for what you think about it? And talk to you about our job offers?
Oh, yeah, very good question. So, you're in the process, okay? And can I offer you assistance? Absolutely. I'll pick on Gina because she's not here right now. She had to go down to the lab. Before Gina went on her interview to Virginia Tech, she and I sat down several times. I gave her a lot of advice. I gave her some suggestions. I would say she had a very successful interview and has a very, very good job offer. So I'm very happy to help you, to review things for you, and again, give you some pointers or whatever you might need. Yeah, I'm happy to do that. As for, I know over at Apparel, certainly Dr. Sanders is willing to do that. I know she's said that many times. I think Dr. Fiore is very willing to do that. I know that Mary Lynn would do it all the time. She's retiring now, but I mean, one of the advantages I have, obviously, from my field is I know everybody. And I know most programs. So I have a very good idea of what's going on, so I can help you in subtle ways. Obviously, on the apparel side, I don't know the programs as well. So I would have to couch my remarks in a very generic way. But I can certainly give you suggestions how to approach the situation or what to ask for, or hey, is this a good offer, that kind of thing. Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
How about offer from different schools, totally different from hospitality? I mean, I'm a minority at that school. How to do that? How to be successful at the school?
Okay, if I'm understanding this question correctly. You have interviewed and been hired by an institution that has a very, very small program in your field. You're a one-person shop. Okay. All right. You are really going to be working hard because you're a lone wolf. And depending on how your program is perceived, and I'll use the word respect, will dictate a lot of what your life is going to be like. And in some cases, it could be a life that's just a lot of work and not a whole lot of patting on the back for it. On the other hand, maybe it's a place where they recognize this is an area we want to build, and you're the first one to get things started. That's exciting. So I think you need to, again, I think you need to ask some questions. You need to try to figure out what's going on. There are people that have spent their whole career in one-person shops. I mean, that's fine. And everybody loves them for that. Students love them, of course. But think about that. You're teaching probably 4 or 5 classes a semester, every semester. Plus you're responsible for all of the other things that have to be done. That's a tall order to handle. And chances are you're probably not going to be paid what you should be paid. Yes?
Is there a little time where you start working and then interview and then
Okay. So the question is, what is the cycle for this hiring process? What has happened over the last couple of years, years and years ago, okay? It was standard practice that a position announcement would come out in late fall. All interviews would be done in early spring, and everything would be done by April 1st. And there was sort of an unwritten rule that if you were a faculty member at an institution, if you were going to move on to another institution, you would tell your boss before the middle of April that you were leaving. Because that would give them at least the summer, maybe find a temporary person or whatever. That is so ancient history. Today, hiring is around. And the cycle has actually moved further and further up every year. I noticed here in particular, the first ads were actually live by mid-July. And hiring commenced in late fall. Obviously, this is going on right now. But the cycle is now a year-round cycle. And there does not seem any pattern anymore. And I think it has a lot to do with when a school gets the okay to search, getting going as quickly as possible, trying to lock in as quickly as they can, and that way it's overdone because you don't want to lose them. So, it's pretty constant. And I would tell all of you, in hospitality, you have two sites that are now the free website and the global hospitality education site. The other, every position you ever want to think of is on one of those sites. You can go on anytime, see what's going on. ITAA has a whole list of jobs all the time. And again, depending on the year, that could be a very lengthy list. I think there was just an announcement today, I think, posted. So, I mean, it's constant now. It's amazing. And you'll have people tell you they're leaving any time of the year. Since I have been here, we have had faculty leave us in December, May, July, the day before classes started in August. I was not happy about that.
So, the question I have is because I'm in the application. And so I applied for 4 positions thus far. So how long typically before you hear something? Is there a typical or?
Okay. All right. So again, a question related to the process that goes on. What you always want to look at in the announcement, when is the deadline? Nothing is going to happen before that deadline. Okay. Now you can apply anytime you want, but all you're going to get is probably a quick note that says, "We've received your materials. Thank you very much." Probably within 2 weeks after the deadline, the initial review of applications takes place. They're going to do some kind of filtering, whatever they do, and they will decide, here's the number of people we want to bring in for an interview to get that approved. Run that through different players depending on the school. So certainly within a month after that, they know what they're going to do. And let's say for example that January 31st is the deadline. Okay. Chances are that they will know who they're bringing in by February 28th. Questions whatsoever about that. And they will probably have people in either that February or certainly the first part of March. And then they'll try to have them up by no later than the first part of April. Yeah, they would want to have that hire done by the middle of April, clearly. Yeah.
And so when you're looking at applicants, because I may do whatever I'm just picking up, and I'm probably going to finish it early September.
Okay.
If it comes up. Would you consider me?
In our announcement, every single one of our announcements says very clearly that the individual needs to have the degree by the date of when the hire takes effect. And the hire takes effect August 15th of the year. So we would be asking you a question when you're coming in. We might interview, right? But we will be asking you, where are you on your dissertation? And indeed, if you were to say that, and let's say someone else is interviewing and they either are done or they're getting done in May, that person has the upper hand over you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But, okay, so when you say that, you say you want you to have that certification done by the hire date. Should that be from applying? Or should
I would certainly tell you, you need to think about that, because there's probably going to be other applicants who are going to be able to meet that. One of the challenges is if you are not done, and now we're handing you an assignment that includes teaching, and we're expecting other things. You may have been very active on your dissertation, but now you're starting a new job. You want to look good. What's going to happen to that dissertation? Ooh, it slowly moves to that back burner, and it's moving further back and further back. And all of a sudden it's Thanksgiving, and you're still not done. There are numerous cases of people who took a job, their dissertation was not done, and they ran into a whole lot of trouble in their first year.
Well, you look at teaching who was in industry, and yeah, it got to the point where they pressured them. You're done.
You don't want to do that because it looks bad for you. You don't want to start out a new job on the bad side.
Well, and then in my case, the plan is to get it finished over the summer, but I have to come in September to do the oral. And so timing is kind of.
Look at that. Because I don't know your field as well, okay, I can only say to you that you need to sit with your major professor, and the two of you have to have a conversation about what you're doing and how to get to where you want to be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And we have. So.
Good luck.
Well, so when you think about that, do most academic positions start in August?
Yes.
And so therefore then that leaves you a whole year of a day.
Now, the alternative is you would bargain that you would be hired as a visiting assistant professor for a semester, or even as a lecturer for a semester. And then make sure you get your year and get it done.
Okay, so there are other options.
Yes, there are.
Because I hate to think
But the school may not be, you have to remember, every school is different. They may not be open to that.
Exactly. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
Well, I hope I shared some things with you. You'll learn something. I'm always available for conversation, as you know. Happy to help you out. Okay? You're all going to do fine. Don't worry. Don't worry. Right? It's hard work. Hard work. I'm not going to kid you. It's hard work. And here's the funny part about it. As hard as you think your doctoral program is, it's not as hard as being an assistant professor. Being an assistant professor is not as hard as being an associate professor. Being an associate professor is not as hard as being a full professor. Okay? So I just want you to be aware of that. Well, you have to be willing to do the work. Everybody who does this loves what they do. That's why they're in the field. That's what I hope you're doing. That's what I hope you're getting. Is that you're getting for what you do. That you get up every morning and you get up every morning and you love what you're doing. That makes life a lot easier. It's a great place to work. It's a great place to work. Quality of life is way ahead of everywhere else. Okay. But yes, is there hard work? And the higher the level of the university, the higher the expectation. Well, thank you.
For bringing food and drink.
They're hospitable. Speaking of being hospitable, I need to go. Promise my wife to take her to dinner. Have a good night, everybody.